Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for the movie Ghost in the Shell. And I overall enjoyed this movie, and the thing is, I hadn't seen the anime Ghost in the Shell. I had heard about it, and kind of understood the basic premise. And I was going in with this, not with giant expectations, but I heard about all the kind of stuff surrounding the movie and everything, and I just kind of wanted to see what it did for itself. And I overall think it was more respectful of the source material than other kind of adaptations like Dragon Ball Evolution. That is another thing in of itself and should be watched to, it's so bad you have to laugh at it. You have to, otherwise you're just like, this is just Dragon Ball in name only. This, I think, at least deals with the premise very well, at least in respect to the source material. There is a lot of big ideas thrown around, but not much is really done with it. That's my biggest kind of complaint with it. Otherwise, it does a good kind of thriller. You're kind of interested to see where it goes. Cool action set pieces, but it doesn't really do that much to expound upon the kind of ideas that are presented here. So, we begin the film with this woman who's like being prepped for surgery for cerebral salvage. So that begins this whole process, the shelling part of the movie. The whole sequence in the like beginning of the anime, which is done very well. The effects in this movie are great. And seeing like her whole body being made and all that and her coming out and freaking out because she's trying to breathe, but she's in a robotic body. You wouldn't need to breathe. I mean, we don't know exactly how it works, but I doubt you would need to breathe, perspire, salivate, eat, all that kind of stuff. And it would be very jarring to go from a human body, which has all these functions and everything that the brain is hardwired to do, and it would put in the shell. And another kind of negative of this is how many times in this movie the words shell and ghost are brought up. We kind of get it on the first go. It doesn't need to be completely explained. Sometimes when you're dealing with a concept, just the illusion, if done in the proper way, is enough for your audience to be like, okay, instead of going pounding on the head like the nail, like, oh, here's the shell, here's the ghost, we saved your soul and everything. But see, that's a great concept that could have been done more on. Is her soul still alive? Is she still her? If you take the brain out of the body, is the body an integral part of who you are? That's not really expounded upon, because we see that we don't know kind of what her original body looked like compared to what her new body looks like. And we get into all this, and this like head person at Hanka Robotics is like, she's a weapon, we got this. But the doctor's like, no, she's a person. So we get through, and it's 1 year later, and she's with this like elite kind of like counterterrorism unit, and she's badass. She's like listening in on this like conversation that's going on with this dignitary from Africa and this person from Hanka Robotics, and talking about like doing more stuff and all that. And there's like something's going on. There's like a cybercrime going on, which isn't really expounded upon that much, but like somebody's listening in and all that. And then these comfort geishas kind of attack and take the Hanka dude and like hack into his note in the back. So the Major, as she's called now, goes in, uses this suit that completely cloaks her, and starts like going through and taking out all these people that had come in to like protect the geisha as it's like hacking into the dude and all that. And she takes them out with deadly efficiency, and then also takes out the geisha, but not before the dude was killed in the hacking process. So they're all trying to figure out what's going on. The head of the unit is like, Major, I told you not to go in. And she's like, I had to. More people would have died. And you gotta hand it to Scarlett Johansson. She does at least sell the idea of not being comfortable in her own body. Like, in combat and everything, it's when instinct and everything kind of takes over and training and all that. But, like, daily kind of interactions and everything is kind of different. Like, her interacting with Bateau and all the kind of rest of the people in the counterterrorism unit. Bateau, at least, is friendly towards her. I mean, the rest are friendly towards her as well. But she doesn't give a crap that she's uncomfortable and, like, forces stuff to kind of, like, keep her kind of grounded and human. And they're trying to figure out what's going on with this, and they get more involved in that. More people are getting attacked from Hanka and all that. And she goes into one of the geishas and does a deep dive, and she can't really be protected in that state because they haven't gone through all the booby traps and everything that could have been left in the geisha. So she goes in and is immediately, like, counter-hacked by this person who's orchestrating this. And whoever has this problem with Hanka it's like a vendetta. So they're going through, they're trying to figure out who it is, what their connections are, and find out that this person is, at least the name that he's going by is Kuze. And he was one of a long line of test subjects that led to the Major. And he feels that he has lost something in being in this shell. He's still him, but he's lost something. And we've seen throughout the movie that the Major's experiencing what Hanka calls her glitches. Seeing these weird things pop up and has to take this medicine to get rid of it and all that. She's trying to figure out why she doesn't feel exactly right because she can't feel and all that. She actually has, I think, she invites a prostitute up, I think. Otherwise, it's just a random person, but I'm assuming it's a prostitute. And just kind of like tries to touch for a sensation of connection because she's got all this information and everything and technology that she can have in her head and all that, but she can't feel anything. And it would have been great to have more of like what her emotions can be if she can't like feel in her physical body, because some of that stuff is connected to like smell, taste, feel, all that kind of stuff. How are her emotions? How does she feel? How has she changed? And it goes instead more with the form of like memories. Do we need memories? Are memories who we are, or are we what we do more than the memories? So they get to the point, they find out where Kuze is. That's where we get the big reveal of him, and the Major goes off, kind of trying to figure out what's going on. And it's all with this, like, themes of robotic replacement and all that. We get Bateau has been injured, has, like, these new infrared and all these other kind of modes for his eyes. And does that... It's brought up surface level of, does that make you less human? What does that make the Major then, if she's just a brain? And all that kind of stuff, but it's never really delved into more deeply than that. So we go, and we're seeing what's going on, because the reason Kuze is so hard to get to is he's using people to create his own network to hack in and do stuff so that way his ghost can live on. And they get to a point where the head of Hanka is like, we need to take out the Major, she's been compromised, kill her. That's, of course, where the counterterrorism unit's like, no, we're done with this. We're not doing that. So she kind of turns herself in, and the head doctor gives her her memories and says that those are her memories and to give her an address to look into. The doctor sacrifices herself to let her escape, and we find out that she's originally from like this kind of older kind of ward, and she finds her mother. And I know one of the controversies was like, well, the Major isn't Asian, it isn't Japanese. And we find out that her original body was Japanese, and that her mother tells her this whole story that she had run away from home a year ago, and that the police told her that she had taken her life while in custody, and that she didn't buy that. So we find out that her and another group of people went into this lawless district and were anti-tech, anti-augmentation, and that Hanka had raided them and used them as test subjects. Now, a really interesting thing that could have been done is, would the Major have had a cognitive dissonance if you look in the mirror and her memories aren't suppressed? Would it be strange being in a body that's not like your own? That could have been a really added depth to that. But it's not expounded upon. I know they got Scarlett Johansson for her like action movie kind of stuff. She knows what to do, and like her broad appeal. I just think that more could have been done with it. It's like, would this shell affect the mind? Would this mind have a cognitive dissonance like, that is not me? And like start like ripping the face off or whatnot, or demand to have a face that is more of what they view themselves as. Or would putting your mind in in a shell, you would eventually become accustomed to that shell. That's kind of stuff that could have been really done something with and had like an interesting conversation about, but really wasn't. And it doesn't really, I don't know if it's really a detriment to the movie. It's more like that the writers tried to do the best that they could to make it as appealing to everybody, and in essence didn't do it for really. In trying to appeal to everybody, they appealed to nobody. That's the biggest kind of issue with this film. I could have liked another actress, I guess, but it would have had to have been in a better kind of writing kind of style as well. They could have done, because you could have put a Japanese actress in that role, and it just still would have been the overall writing that would have brought it down more than the actress. But that's the kind of stuff that they could have done with it, and just it disappoints. It's just all kind of surface level, all kind of like, oh, think about this. It's like, but what do you give us some more stuff to chew on with this? So then it kind of gets to its climax, and she goes to the lawless district. Her and Kuze talk about their past lives and pretty much kind of reconciling with that. And Kuze wants to kind of evolve or whatnot, whatever that means, going into like being AI. And it's like, okay. And then the head of Hanka sends in a spider tank, which was one of the big things, and it's nothing like the designs I'd seen in the anime, which is kind of disappointing, and just was a generic kind of thing for the Major to fight. And of course, she like uses their thermoptic suit and like pushes the limits of her shell, losing her one arm in the process, but taking it out. And of course, Kuze's, I don't know if Kuze is killed, because he asked to fuse with her their ghosts together and go off, but it looked like his ghost left the shell before the sniper hit. And then, of course, she's put back together. She's kind of reconciled with the fact of her past life, which would have been more interesting to kind of see more kind of like confusion on that front, or like any kind of like conflict with that, or kind of coming together. Now, she did hug the mother and say that she would be by, like, visit again and all that, so that would be interesting. But overall, it just felt hollow, which is interesting because it's talking about the nature of being human and everything, and it just feels like the ghost of the concept, which is kind of weird, but that's what happens when you're going for more big budget style. So she's reconciled herself and goes on more missions to fight generic kind of terrorist kind of stuff. So overall, I've seen worse movies. I've seen better movies. I feel that these creators had more of a respect for source material than other kind of live action anime takes, but there could have been so much more done with it, and I would recommend seeing it if it's on a movie channel. I don't know if I would recommend it if you're really into the anime. I would probably just suggest stick with the anime, because there's just some things that you can only do in anime and sometimes they're a lot better or well done in anime. But overall, if you just need an action movie or want to see an action movie, it's good. It's got good action and everything, pretty good special effects. It's 2 hours, so it's not too long or too short, and you'd have a good action movie on your hands. Other than that, it's almost kind of like low-key Matrix kind of ideas. Whereas the Matrix, at least the first one, really got into that concept and then kind of like ballooned uncontrollably from there. This one's just kind of like surface level. You get the action, you get kind of thinking, and then that's about it. So those are my opinions on the movie. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also, like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.